Hello my software comrades, that's Medhat Sabry welcoming you again to Techstamina. In this video I'm going to continue talking about the second folkloric habit, which is actually detracting our efforts in software development process. And that was and still is, of course, the way we incentivize our people. It's about the carrot and stick old tale, or the punish and reward old policy again. In part one of the last video, what I have done is that we have just put a strategy through that sequence of thinking or train of thoughts, how to attack the problem. Why are we incentivizing in the first place? Simply to motivate. So we start by motivation, then we incentivize. What do we need to incentivize? We have to understand the needs of the people, because this is exactly where we start thinking about incentivizing them. To understand the needs of the people, you have to understand the mentalities, and what's your tool, your way, your path to the mentalities. It's the job. I believe, and I think it's very true, that to understand the mentality of someone, you have to look at what he or she is doing. There is a saying that I believe in very much: a man or a woman is what he or she does. So let's look at our job, our undertaking, and to understand more about what we do, maybe we need to look a wider look on the industry itself. So in this video, we are going to understand a bit more about our industry and our job, and then map that to our needs and mentalities. Let's take a look on the industry, the job, and the mentality. First question is, what kind of industry are we in? Are we sure we know? Let's do that now. Business people categorize industries based on the resources. So, first is the capital intensive kind of business, which we are not. Why? We don't need that much money to start. And the argument that the big software people are multi-billions of operations is simply defeated by the fact that they never started like that. Many of these people started in garages, small cubicles. All what they needed is some, at that time, computers. Maybe later they had to have some connection to the internet and some good minds. And you can start a very decent startup operation right now for a couple of $1,000s, or whatever currency you might take. So we are not capital intensive. That's for sure. Some people look at us, and that is very degrading, actually, as labor intensive. And this is simply defined by the fact that it's not bad, by the way, to be labor intensive, but we are not, because we are not using our bodies. We are not using our arms. We are using our heads. So labor-intensive people are people who are doing the human effort through their bodies, which we are not, mainly through their bodies, of course. There is a debate now about that, because many of the things that people used to do with their hands and bodies now are automated. But in the end of the day, they have a little to think about. Let me give you an example here. It's like, for instance, the help desk kind of operation, where people actually, you need a lot of people, too many people just sitting there to answer questions and to take complaints and things like that. They don't use their minds as such. They are trained to face situations, some kind of fixed situations, and they have a little to think about just in very special cases. So this is an example of labor intensive. Some people go a little bit extravagant actually and say that we are talent intensive. We have talent, yes, but we are not talent intensive. We need talents, but not all software people are talented as such. We need talents, but we are not talent intensive. So, what are we indeed? We are cognition intensive. What's cognition? We solve problems, analyze situations, make decisions, and sometimes do some creative work. This is cognition. And that comes from the minds, not from the hands, not from the money, and not from mere talent. So that's exactly where we stop here, and now we shoot another question. What about the needs of cognition intensive process people? Now we are in agreement that we are using cognition more than anything. So the kind of our mentality is the mentality of the cognitive people, people who think and solve problems. That's about the industry, the job, and the mentality. Intellectual, cognitively functioning kind of employees. That's exactly what we are. Now you all know that. You must have come across something like that in one of your certifications, maybe in project management or something like that. This is the Maslow pyramid. That's a great psychiatrist, great scientist, who made that kind of pictorial representation for our needs as humans. Let's go through it very quickly. At the bottom, we need some physiological things. We need food, we need to eat, of course, we need to breathe, and we need to drink. We need sex. We need some homeostasis to continue life, and that's exactly what is called the physiological layer of our needs. Then we come a little bit one step up, and we need safety and shelter. Safety for our bodies, for ourselves, for our families, for our jobs, employment, safety for our resources, all kinds of safety. And then one step up, we need love and belonging. Of course, we need to love and be loved. We need to belong to a community, some certain family, community, and maybe a country. Till that level, and up to that level actually, we are talking more or less about something very common between us and the rest of the animal kingdom. Starts maybe you know that some species in the animal kingdom still need to feel safety and need to feel sheltered somehow, and they have some of them live in communities and families too. So more or less, this is common between us and most of the species in the animal kingdom. But what is different and what makes us human actually is esteem. This is exactly the level where you need something to achieve, to get confidence, to be esteemed, and to have some esteem to others, by others, and to others, and to others. And finally, we have the self-actualization. The self-actualization level of needs. At that one, there is exactly a need to be able to do some cognitive functions, solving problems, creating new ideas, some creativity that you need here, and mainly these are all cognitive functions. Now, if you map the way, or you map our jobs and industry to this kind of representation of human needs, where do you think that our needs as software people mostly are concentrated? I think we don't argue too much about having this. We are different from any other. We have most of our needs, most of our satisfaction comes here. Nobody argues that we need what's below. But mapping our industry, our process, our jobs, and the way we think and the way we live to this hierarchy of human needs gives you a clear or a very obvious fact that satisfying us comes into two upper layers. Now let's take some conclusion. Actually, the most important corollary that we take from this kind of analysis now is the failure of the punish and reward and carrot and stick. Why? When you talk about the carrot, food comes into your mind, so it's here. And then when you talk about the stick, then what comes into your mind here? Because by the stick, you are actually depriving me from something that makes me feel safe. This is the punishment. This is the philosophy of punishment. So the stick is here and the carrot is here. And simply, my friend, we are not animals. And that way of thinking is, let me say, not only folkloric, but it's very out of sync of the kind of mentality of the people that work in this industry now, in this age we are in, which I call the age of the business, as unusual. You can't think of us like animals in the circus. They are trained in that way. They are tamed in that way. If I'm an elephant, for instance, you give me a big piece of sugar just to raise my hose. And if I don't that, you beat me. So this is the way you are incentivizing people now in the 21st century. That ends our discussion for today, and that defies completely the idea of reward and punishment, carrot and stick. And in the next video, and the last video maybe, about this topic, we are going to listen a bit to what the scientific research contributes to the idea of incentivizing people working in cognition or in cognitive type of jobs. Thank you very much for joining me in Techstamina, and see you in the next video.